Alright, fans of music, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, and me right here. This year, of course, marks the 40th anniversary of the classic album Breakfast in America by Supertramp, one of my desert island CDs or albums or cassette tapes that I would, or 8-tracks, that I would bring to the island with me. If I only had, I don't know how many choices you get to bring to the island. I'm assuming that, eventually, those boxes start washing ashore. If you watch Castaway with Tom Hanks, some of those FedEx boxes, they start turning up. But you don't know how much room you're going to have when you got to swim and you got a soccer ball like Wilson to kind of carry with you. You just don't know how much stuff you can take. So I think Supertramp's Breakfast in America does qualify as a desert island disc. Start to finish, one of the great albums of all time. Roger Hodgson, of course, the chief architect of much of that music, along with cohort Rick Davies, who he eventually split from, which was just a shame, back in the early 80s. And then Rick went on and continued recording without Roger, and it just wasn't the same. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't the same. And I know these guys tried for a reunion a number of years ago. The problem at this point was Rick's health, and then I think Rick started to feel better, and then Roger said no, and then it went back and forth. And I think there was probably, maybe some animosity between these two guys. I don't know. It's been reported that it was just like an amicable split. But it just seems like a lot of wasted years. Imagine if Supertramp had held together throughout the 1980s, a keyboard-based band going into the 80s. I think the sky's the limit, and just adapt the technology a little bit and, give your sound a little extra maple syrup or whatever, and you got yourself a hit record or two. Roger actually made a couple of great solo albums in the 80s. My favorite tune by him solo is a tune called In Jeopardy, which would sound great next to a Breakfast in America track, or It's Raining Again, or Dreamer, or any of those songs. So Roger plays concerts, and he is absolutely mesmerizing. When I first saw those videos up on YouTube, maybe like 10 years ago now, I was like, holy crap, Batman, does he sound good? And he does. He sounds amazing even now. I mean, for a vocalist to have lost nothing. And by the way, he's got to climb the ladder on a couple of really high notes from that album. I mean, he's got Logical Song. He's got, all of these tracks that he is still heard on every day. American radio has not let go of that album, although some of the deeper tracks that used to get airplay when it came out, things like Just a Nervous Wreck, which isn't a Roger song, that used to get played, Casual Conversations, things like that. Now, you hear the basics and a couple of extras, but Roger in concert is quite an event. He starts touring tomorrow, starts out in Pennsylvania, and he ends up, I believe, out in Washington State at the end of the tour. And then he heads to Europe in August. So it's only a month he's here in the States, but 40 years of Breakfast in America, and that's what the tour is called. It's called the Roger Hodgson Breakfast in America Tour. And if you got video, take it, okay? Because I'd love to hear Roger singing. I know he's been very meticulous, though, at kind of keeping his music in the prophet mode, if you know what I mean. And it's one of those things where, if you want Roger music, you're probably going to have to purchase Roger music. I don't think he's too fond of folks who are uploading videos of performances. I think he's put out select performances to get people really jazzed up about his live show. And people are showing up for those concerts. I mean, to me, if I could, by the way, guys, here's the truth. If Journey comes to town, great. But if Roger Hodgson comes to town, who I've never seen, who is just like spot on perfect at his age singing, I'd get the tickets to see Roger because he puts on a great show. And the crowd is very upbeat, optimistic. These are mostly happy songs that are sung by a true master. All right, done with this video. Roger Hodgson, 40 years of breakfast in America, and really only the Brits kind of get it. I'll talk to you soon.